Okay, so for this assessment, we're going to be looking at shoulder pattern A, which is essentially going to be shoulder flexion and external rotation. So we're going to start off standing up nice and tall, head and chest up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to bring the arm all the way up into full shoulder flexion. Now make a note here of how well you're moving into shoulder flexion without compensating here. So 180 degrees of shoulder flexion. Then we're going to drop back behind the head with the goal of touching that back side of the opposite shoulder blade. So if you see we got the shoulder blade here, we're aiming to touch the spine of the scapula on this shoulder blade. Now some of the compensations to look for is going to be shrugging the shoulder, moving the head forward, or arching the back. Okay? So remember, a 3 is going to be if we can get to this spot and touch it without any problems. A 2 would be if we have to have some slight compensations in order to do so. So again, that could be the head, shrugging the shoulder, arching the back. A 1 is going to be if we really just can't get there. So if you end up getting to only that area there, or you find out in that first part when you're looking at your shoulder flexion, if your shoulder flexion is just extremely limited, okay? And then so a 0, of course, will be whether you can or can't do it, but you have any pain associated with it, okay? So that's going to break down our shoulder pattern A assessment, looking at shoulder flexion, external rotation. For this shoulder assessment, we're going to be looking at 2 different motions. So we're going to be looking at shoulder extension and internal rotation. So we're going to start standing head and chest up. We're going to start by working the arm back into full extension. From this point, we'll start to go back into internal rotation, up our back without touching our back, and trying to hit that inferior border of the scapula. Slowly move yourself out of it. And so that will be a 3 if you can get to that spot on the inferior border of your scapula without compensation. So what a 2 would look like then is if there's some compensations involved. You can get to that spot, but you have to lean forward a little bit. You have to maybe excessively arch your back. You have to walk the hand up the back, or maybe even what you'll see from the side is the front of the shoulder starting to dip forward excessively. Okay, so that's going to be a 2 with some compensations. A 1 would look like we just don't have the range of motion to get this. So that can be, you can see there's some space between that spot there. Now, a 1, you not getting to this range of motion can be for 2 reasons. 1 can be when you take a look at the extension, you just can't get the arm back behind your back. Or 2 is you just can't start to walk it back into internal rotation. And then remember, a 0 is going to be we have pain associated with this motion. So when you start to move back behind your back, you get a pinching, sharp pain, or a cramping in your shoulder.